Hello and welcome to the first video that I am making on this subject, Idaho's wolves. I plan on making a lot of videos to help inform, educate, and ultimately gain protections for the wolf. It's an amazing species, and yeah, we'll get into all that. As for now, let me just give you a quick 15-second update on what's going on. So as you know and have probably learned and seen, there's been a lot of news article headlines and a lot of media outlets that have put out kind of sensationalized headlines saying Idaho wants to kill 90% of its wolves, which is true. The legislators passed a bill in the middle of the night that called for 15 breeding pairs, which is roughly 150 wolves, and currently we have around 1,500 wolves. So that's, 90%. And that bill went into law on July 1st after the governor signed it. And here we are now. Idaho Fish and Game grumpily and quickly came up with some rules and regulations for the hunting season, but the kill is on and the wolves are in trouble. Alright, so let's talk about the wolves for a minute now. This is kind of broken into three parts. The value of the wolf, the threat to the wolf, and then the solutions that we can do right now to help protect and save some species. Let me just start off. This is not about the biology of a wolf or anything like that. It's habitat, it's behavior. There's lots of other resources there. This is particularly about some other stuff. But to start though, the wolf is an animal. It doesn't have any agenda. It just lives in the woods and it does its animal things. As an animal, it is a keystone species. And there's a lot of big words that I'm going to be throwing out, and I think I'm going to do a whole separate video on these words. So stay tuned for that. But the keystone species, the short of it is that that species matters or is a little more important or key to its ecosystem and the natural world than other species in that ecosystem. For example, the beaver is the beaver is a keystone species. Sharks are keystone species. Starfish are keystone species. Bees, and they all do something disproportionately important in that environment than other species. That's all. And the gray wolf that is in Idaho in North America is one species of gray wolf. There isn't some genetically modified monster. It's not some Canadian enlarged gray wolf. It's just the gray wolf. It's what's always been here. It's just one thing. So that's kind of a myth people aren't aware of. It's really rather a shy animal and likes to stay away from humans because of the problems humans have had with it. It's not overly aggressive. Yes, it kills. It uses its mouth to kill. Yeah. So next is the threat. So here's the threat. The Idaho legislators passed a law kind of in the midnight hour, legalizing and financially incentivizing killing like up to 90% of Idaho's wolves. The governor signed it into law, as I mentioned, and here we are. The kill is on. Legislators are important and they're useful in society, just like the wolf is important and useful in nature. So I don't want to talk bad about that, but they are a threat to the wolf. And a lot of people ask, why are they doing this? And I don't know. They blame it on a lot of things that facts kind of have debunked, from wolves destroying ranchers and eating up all the cows, which there's a ton of number and figures on that just are like, why are they saying this? But the biggest threat is that wolves have become what is known as a social political issue. It's not a biology issue. It's not a environmental issue or an economic issue even, because wolves hold a lot of economic value. It's a social political issue, which is unfortunate because wolves can't vote. They can't picket. They can't tell you hey, dear humans, please don't kill me. Love the wolf. They're just unable to do that sort of thing. There's been a lot of other social political issues like this in the history of the U.S. government, including in recent years, like what marriage is, or sexual orientation, or reproductive rights of women, or even immigration. Those are all social political issues, and now the wolf is one of them. Another lastly thing to note here before we get to the solutions is why this might be happening now. What is happening to trigger this? Well, nothing really, except that the last administration stripped the wolf of its last remaining protections leading it to become like a political gamesmanship thing now between different sides of the aisle. There's a lot of us in the middle that don't like that. So we're doing something about it. Which leads me to the solutions. And here's the biggest solution. Well, here's the biggest lie. We as the people have nothing that can be done. What's done is done. That's the biggest lie. Because we know otherwise. Like, we as citizens can do a lot. We can create change and we can make stuff happen. We hold a lot of power. And the way we hold a lot of power is by letting people know, by using our voice to say who we are, what we mean. Because oftentimes things that happen in the light of day or under scrutiny happen differently than they would have happened otherwise. It's just kind of the situation as it pertains to politics. So who do we let know? Well, here's how it works. The wolf seems to be managed by two agencies, a local and a federal agency. The local state agency here in Idaho is called the Idaho Fish and Game. It's run by a commission board and commissioners, and each region of the state has different commissioners, and you can write them, you can reach out to them, you can even hop on the phone call and talk to them and voice your opinion and say like, hey, we don't like this, so let's do something about it. And then the federal agency is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, and they are housed under the Department of Interior. So the Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland, manages that. And each state has a director in each region, and so on and so forth, all the way to her. And you can let them know that you don't like it either. Which leads me to the point of, so what is it that we can say to these people? What can we do to these specific state and federal agencies who manage the wolf to get them to stop killing the wolf? We can tell them that we don't like the current wolf management plan. The current wolf management plan was made in the 1980s and revised in the early 2000s, like 2002 is I think when they came up with the 15 breeding pairs. And again, these numbers were like baseline to get them off of the endangered species, to get them to threatened. So if they had 15 breeding pairs for like 3 or 4 years, then they weren't endangered anymore. They could be classified as threatened species and we could manage them differently. But we're not. And we're going backwards to something that is a great success story and undoing it. We need a wolf management plan that reflects current science and the current hearts of the people and citizens. Like, yeah, so tell them, go tell them, update the science, put a pause on it. This needs to better reflect the hearts of the people, and we need a wolf management plan that doesn't include killing them all off again. Like, that's weird. Anyways, so how long do we have to do this? Well, as far as my understanding goes, I am pretty positive that the federal agency, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, is conducting a investigation. And in that investigation, they're determining whether or not Idaho, the Idaho Fish and Game, is competent at managing the wolves. So you could go let the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services know that you don't like the wildlife management plan as it pertains to wolves, and that Idaho doesn't seem all that competent with managing their animals if they're just going to kill them all off. Yeah. So the next thing you can do is you can go all the way to the top. You can go to the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and you can tell him you don't like it, you want to save the puppies, you want to keep wild places wild still left in this world. And you can also let the Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland, know as well that you want her to reinstate protections through the Endangered Species Act on these animals. So again, the environment is healthy and there's wild things in the wild. So that's what's up right now. All the links and relevant content and things you need to find stuff is in the show notes. Yeah, do all the YouTube things. Subscribe, notifications, like, I don't know, what are the YouTube things? Yeah, I guess the biggest thing I would ask you is please share this. Share this video with kind humans that care and that want to see natural resources protected and want to have wild spaces left in the wild. That's all for now. All right, thanks. Bye.